Welcome to Everyday Greatness. I'm Barnaby Howarth alongside Scott Gibbons. Sticking a label on a bottle of wine isn't as easy as whacking on a piece of paper on a glass bottle and hoping it stays in place. Every element involved needs to be optimally prepared to make sure the label sticks and stays there. If anything in the process isn't quite right, you might end up with a clean skin instead of a vintage bottle of quality Tyrrells wine because the label has fallen off. Scale this predicament up to a macro level, and organisations work the same way. If every individual isn't appreciated and have their needs heard and attempts at least made to fix them, the glue can get very unsticky very quickly and the label will completely fall off. Our guest today knows this all too well. Fifth generation winemaker and Chief Operating Officer of Tyrrells Wines, Chris Tyrrell. The interest in and image of wine in New South Wales has seen something of a renaissance over the last couple of decades. And a lot of people put this down to Chris's focus on history with an unwavering eye to progress at Tyrrells. The progress of Tyrrells wines has come largely from an understanding that every individual in the creation of a bottle of wine is as important as anybody else. The people at Tyrrells represent the process of putting a label on a bottle of wine. Every element is essential to making it stick. To tell us more about the people at Tyrrells Wines is their Chief Operating Officer, Chris Tyrrell. Chris, thank you and welcome to Everyday Greatness.
Thanks very much. That was a lovely introduction. Very kind.
No problem at all. A lot of businesses today say they're proudly family owned and operated, but Tyrrells really is. How many of your direct family work at Tyrrells today?
So today we're a bit different to a lot of family businesses where we're actually quite small in the family part of it. So it is literally just the direct family. So two owners of the business, my mother and father.
Yep.
And I've got two siblings, a brother and sister, and so my sister is in charge of selling a lot of our wine in Sydney to the top venues in Sydney, and my brother also works in the business. Yeah, so that's it. There's no cousins, no aunties, no uncles. It's a pretty tight little team. Yeah,
sensational. So Tyrrells is well known to have a really good culture across the entire organisation. Is that good culture self-fulfilling, or do you guys have to put conscious work in to make sure it remains a happy place to work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one of the great things about a family business and this one especially is I think it is self-fulfilling, but you've got to keep in the back of your head that people don't get complacent as well.
Yep.
So we've always had a really flat management structure here, and my way of thinking is, and as I don't know, my father thinks like this and my grandfather, if, we trust you to do a job, we're not going to, go and do it, and we trust you and you're the right person for the job. And everyone gets pretty good autonomy in the way that they can go about their day-to-day, and we don't micromanage people.
Yeah.
But I think where the family comes into it is, directing people and, when they need help stepping in. But it's empowering people to make those own decisions. And I think you get the good culture from that. And, everyone keeps each other accountable rather than the family running around keeping people accountable, which I think is really important. I think the culture here is amazing. We've got, I think of our 65 staff members, I think over half of them have been here more than 10 years.
Oh, right. Good result.
We've got, I think we've got about 10 or 12 people over 20 years. So there's a fair few long-termers. But that's where the complacency thing comes in, right? We try and keep challenging people and get them to think of new ways to do things. And I think a lot of the team here do think like that, and we'd like to hire those, those people stay, if they're constantly thinking how you can improve, all those things, then that is the self-fulfilling nature of the culture, I think.
Yeah. So give us a little inside word on what Tyrrell's family functions are like. Birthdays, Christmases, Easter. Do you and your parents and brother and sister go into the cigar room and talk business, or do you all mix together and have a good time?
Well, the family functions sometimes, doubles as a board meeting, right? So we try not to do that. But it's funny because of the product we produce. in itself is a social enabler, right? So, look, we try and not. So generally we don't drink too much Tyrrells. Try not to drink too much Tyrrells at home. I certainly don't, because you don't want to become, too one-eyed and tunnel vision and all those things. So generally we're drinking other wines, maybe one or two Tyrrells in there. But no, we try and keep the work talk to a minimum. But bloody hell, it always manages to work right in there somehow. Then mum will get upset and say, "Stop talking about work,"
like any good mother would. So what's sorry to interrupt. What's your favourite drop of non-Tyrrells wines these days?
Oh no, stay with Tyrrells. Tyrrells are the favourite.
Can we do good? We'll do one expensive, one not so expensive.
Sure.
Can I do that? So, at the moment, I'm drinking a lot of Grenache.
Yep.
And there's a guy in McLaren Vale. Oh, sorry, not a guy and a girl. They're a husband and wife team, and they're Charlie and Sky Seppel. They have a business called Pear-shaped, which is not the easiest name to say, but they have a Grenache that, I don't know, it's $40 or something, and it is so good.
Yeah.
And I think we all default sometimes think Pinot is the mid-weighted red, but I think some of those modern Grenaches are pretty lightweight and they're just so smashable. I just
smashable. I like it.
I think I got 12 bottles a few months ago and I'm about halfway through it already.
Nice.
But the other one that I really like at the moment that I had on the weekend is a similar business to us, but probably a bit smaller. There's a winery in the Yarra Valley called Mount Mary.
Yeah.
And we swap a case of our good stuff every year, and I had their soon-to-be-released 2021 Cabernet blend, which they call Quintet, because it's a blend of 4 varieties. That was one of the best reds I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
To the point where I texted him and said, I'm going to need some more.
Beautiful.
So, 2021 Mount Mary Quintet and Pear-shaped Grenache, they're the ones at the moment.
And how much is the Cabernet Quintet?
I reckon it's about $150.
Right.
Yeah, so good to swap and not buy.
Yeah. And what do you swap? What do you swap back, Chris?
He likes our single vineyard Shiraz and our Semillon. So we do a bit of a mixed case every year.
Single vineyard Shiraz and Semillon. I'm writing
Scott's
those down.
feverishly writing all these down. If you get a phone call later on, it might be Scott asking for a swap.
Yeah.
I'll give you nothing if you give me 12 wines.
One of the good things about this industry is everyone's happy to swap.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you another question about wineries in particular. Do you aggressively compete with other wineries in the Hunter Valley and all around Australia to improve your bottom line figures, or do you all work together to try and boost the industry as a whole?
I think this industry is very unique in the collaborative nature of it. And I've got a lot of friends that, some work in sport, some work in finance, some are, and they're always shocked at how close the wine industry is. So whilst we're all competitors, it's in our best interests if the Hunter Valley's doing really well, for instance. So I'm talking at a Hunter level here. So if someone's not buying Tyrrells, I'm going to make sure they buy something from Brokenwood or Mount Pleasant or Andrew Thomas. And I think as a region, we've always done a good job of that. So twice a year, the whole region gets together just as winemakers, and we take all of our pre-bottling samples. So we'll do like a Semillon one, and then we'll do a Shiraz one later in the year. And it's a closed shop, Chatham House rules type deal. And we pick apart each other's wines in a really constructive way.
Yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, it's not so much for the Tyrrells of the room. It's for, some of the smaller guys or winemakers that might be new to the area. And I think generally the quality of Hunter wines is lifted because of those tastings. We've been doing it for about 10 years.
Yeah.
But certainly, I'm around at another winery probably 2 or 3 afternoons a week.
Nice.
In there tasting, talking, what's happening, what's doing well, what's not doing well. We're about to bottle this. What do you reckon? And because you look at your own wines all the time, and if sometimes a fresh set of eyes, you can just, see something you might not see, or get a few tips along the way, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, the Hunter is the envy of a lot of other regions. And then, talking to mates in other industries, they're always shocked at how much time we all spend together.
I can imagine so. Now, I need to warn you before I pass you over to my co-host, Scott Gibbons. Yeah. I think he's going to ask you about wine and probably order some. So I'll throw you over to Scotty.
I'll definitely be ordering some. Of course, Tyrrells is a favourite. G'day, Chris.
G'day, Scott.
So what does a COO do? What does a COO do?
Well, this might be a good time to, I don't know anymore because it's not my job anymore. I changed jobs last week.
Oh, what's your new job? What's your new title?
Well, family businesses are funny things, but I'm now the managing director and my father is now the chairman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good you.
As of last week.
So what does a managing director do?
Don't know, trying to figure that out. Learning on the job. Look, I think the one thing I figured out, even in a week, is in terms of the day-to-day, not much changes. So my background's on the winemaking side of things. An operational background, but this industry, the vertically integrated nature of it is quite amazing, right? So you do everything from in the vineyard to making wine to packaging wine to warehousing wine to marketing, selling, events. You get to do everything, which is why I love it. Painting one day, concreting the next, dinner with a celebrity the next. It's a really varied thing. That's why I like it. But what I found in terms of the staff in my new job in the last week is people need your time.
Yes.
They want guidance on things, reassurance, and that's what I found. Yeah, is as much as anything, it's your time. Yeah.
But you sound incredibly real, where you would give them time and share your talent.
Yeah, that's right. And we've all worked together for a long time, and the new people that report to me, as opposed to used to report to Dad. Bruce and I are probably a little bit different in how we do things. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe it's an age thing or just how times have evolved. But they're all really good at their jobs already. It's just how do we get better? It's just those little 1%ers.
Yeah,
that's what we try and focus on. Yeah.
So tell me about your private bin and founders club.
Yeah, so they're our private bin and founders club are our direct wine clubs. They're our direct customers. So. They're the lifeblood of any wine business because they're usually buying a few things a year. They're the ones you communicate with the most, and really we see them as and I mean this in a nice way. They're our groupies, for a better term, and we're never going to have a big marketing budget and spend money and all that sort of stuff. But the way we've always treated it is if you look after those guys, they do it for you.
Yeah,
they're your word of mouth out in the real world. They're the ones taking Tyrrells to parties, or events or whatever. And we have some events every year, and we try and bring those people really into the winemaking, the vineyard, what we're doing. But it's not too serious as well. I think the great thing about people like Tyrrells is it's not, the whole thing's not a wank. It's we're all pretty down to earth. We love what we do. We're obsessed with it, but let's not take it too seriously,
So if they join that, you have a special lunch for them?
Yeah, we do tastings, like these masterclass tastings, which kind of sounds serious, but it's not. But I think we've gone down the path of doing big dinners at restaurants and all that sort of stuff. But what we found is people just want to know more about the wine. So we have these days here at the winery. It's only an hour, but we'll get a couple of hundred people to each one, and we do a fair few of them throughout the year.
Yeah.
Just get in, these are the wines this year. This is what we saw in the vineyard. This is what we saw in the winery. Here are the wines. Have a chat about it, an hour in and out. And since we've been doing those, we've seen a big rise in sales, but also a rise in feedback. People saying, yeah, I really enjoy that. Tyrrells do it better than anyone else, all that sort of stuff.
Wow.
It's just building relationships.
Well,
yeah.
It's obvious if Tyrrells are doing it right because you've kept so many staff there for 10 and 20 years. That in itself talks about the culture of what Tyrrells is all about.
Yeah.
So tell me about the sixth generation. Is there a sixth generation coming along?
Oh, yeah. I have two children, two boys. One turned 5 last week. His name's Ed, and Henry, who's 7. So their life at the moment revolves around tractors and that. But look, I think my work-life balance is not very good by the virtue that my house is about 300 metres away from the winery. So since they're born, they've been down here running around, annoying people in the cellar door, in the office. Before they started school, they'd come down at Vintage and hose out bins and sit on the forklift, which is not probably not legal, but all those fun things you should be growing up on a farm, right?
Yeah. All right. So how do people find Tyrrells? What's your website?
Tyrrells.com.au. Nice and easy.
Tyrrells.com.au. Give us the correct spelling so that everyone can write.
Yeah.
I know it, but so everyone can write it down the correct way.
Yeah, so it's a TYRELL.
So double R and double L. And then you get the best of the best. So that's just fabulous. We've got to say thank you, Chris, because you've been incredibly generous with your time, and I just love your attitude because you're a real person. You're fair income. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. It's nice to hear. Thank you.
So thanks for joining us. It's been great having a chat with a terrific human being, and we've got to say thank you to the ARA Group, because the ARA Group have been our chief sponsor now for the 6th year in a row, and we've got to thank them. And if you want to listen to more of Everyday Greatness, the next episode we'll be speaking to 2 Australians with disabilities who are succeeding because of their vulnerabilities. We'll be speaking to Ellen Hester, the office admin at Down Syndrome New South Wales, who has Down syndrome herself. And next week we'll be speaking to Jessica Horner, who's a journalist and an artist who was diagnosed with autism at age 27. And despite the challenges this presents, Jessica is doing and has done things in journalism that 30-year veterans would be jealous of. So we hope you can join us for that one. But if you want to find out more about this show, then you get Everyday Greatness at barnabyhowarth.com.au. That's barnabyhowarth.com.au. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn. And the best thing to do today, if you want something to do today, you go and buy yourself a bottle or a case of Tyrrells. I think that's the best thing that anyone could do. What's the best website, Chris, so that they can find you again?
Tyrrells.com.au.
Tyrrells.com.au. And that's the best wine you're going to get. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
You're
Thanks
terrific,
very much,
Chris.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Bye, mate.
Bye.